there everyone, I am Celestia Rax and I am so glad you're watching today. Okay, so before we get into today's topic, the economics of love, I just wanted to quickly introduce myself and what we do here. So we are a channel that makes everything on economics and relating it to lifestyle, the why we make the decisions we do, and applying it to all kinds of facets of our daily lives, love, and interactions. And when we're not doing that, we occasionally spice it up with a DIY or an outfit. Okay, so let us get into today. So, the economics of love. You might be thinking, what on earth does economics, that thing that tells us about money, have to do with love? Well, it's almost Valentine's Day and I thought this was the most appropriate topic ever, so let's get into it. It has to do with the allocation of scarce resources and how humans go about allocating scarce resources to the most optimal use cases, or to the things that need them most. So, having said that, love can be seen as a scarce resource, as is time, money, people with skills, all those kinds of things. So, if love is a scarce resource, then it must be allocated efficiently. How do we go about doing that? Well, okay. So there are numerous ways, but it can be seen as relationships being a giant marketplace where people are walking around and trying to find the best possible partner that they can imagine having or they can hope to have, given constraints such as their own personal levels of attractiveness or just general preferences and such in life, and based off of that, then there should be effective pairings within the market. Obviously, though, we know that things are a tad more complicated than that. Why? Well, in the same way that shares have signal and noise issues, this also happens within dating. We've all heard of people being catfished. Well, turns out that research is always needed, even when it comes to dating. So, the exterior of a person might be so unbelievably good. Or you might look at them and think, oh, well, they look like a safe bet. Because you don't know very much about them, aside from their one-off impressions, you can't really make too great of a decision. You can't rationalize and figure out what is true and what is just your own needs and wants piled up on top of them. You need to be able to separate fact from fiction, and this is always a tad more difficult when it comes to matters of the heart. Okay, so research thoroughly. That is the first lesson. The second is that your returns, and there's always a return in everything, should be proportional to your input. So, let's say you're dating someone now, or starting a relationship. If you find that you're investing a lot of time, effort, money, etc., and you are not getting out an equal amount of time, effort, or whatever other way you are measuring the overall satisfaction of your love life, then, and this is obviously measurement over a considerable period of time, not one afternoon, then it is clear that you need to make some tough decisions. Obviously though, relationships are kind of like this. You need to invest some form of effort, time, such, into a relationship in order to receive returns. In the same way that when you want to have dividends on shares or anything like that, you have to put money down first. It's very much the same with relationships. You must invest time first before you can get a return. Okay. Okay, so you need to make sure that your expectations are in line. I have mentioned this before, but expectations are really everything. So, and this is true throughout economics and affects the investment market all the time, but it also affects your relationships. If you go in expecting to date, I don't know, K-pop idol or randomly walk into a billionaire standing in the juice aisle at the grocery store, you may find yourself having a hard time dating. But if your expectations are more in line with your current social or peer group, or perhaps they are within reasonable limits of your social or peer group, or if you have a realistic plan of how you would meet the people you are aspiring to meet, then that's okay. But otherwise, try and have some more realistic expectations to partners. Okay? Not to say that you don't deserve the best for yourself, you do. But what is the best? Define it. Figure it out. Okay. You should differentiate yourself in the market. Okay? So, figure out yourself first. Spend time with yourself first before you run into all the madness of dating. And once you have figured yourself out to some extent and know what makes you special and what makes you tick, and what you like and don't like, and what your hobbies and interests and all those kinds of things are, then when you are looking for someone to spend the rest of eternity with, you can differentiate yourself and you already know what you bring to the table. Once you've done that, make sure as a supplier you are a restricted supplier. Make sure that everybody knows they can't just get you whenever they want. You only sell to very selected people. Okay? You are low quantity, but very, very high in value. That's what you are. Okay? You should also find undervalued assets. So we all know about shares. People are always looking. Well, it's known as arbitrage, when the price signals for an asset is incorrect and something is undervalued or overvalued because of the fact that its pricing does not reflect the true value of that amount. You are looking for undervalued assets. So find the person who currently is more like a diamond in the rough and is not exactly where they could be. However, also bear in mind, it is not your job to fix people, and you most probably can't fix people. Yeah. Okay. And finally, we come to the other side of love, which is Valentine's Day, or rather, the compulsory love day. Okay, so, in terms of Valentine's Day, there is this cultural preset, or rather preference towards buying each other outlandish gifts. Now, as someone who owns an events and technological solutions for events business, I must have a disclaimer here. I do sell things for Valentine's Day. So, I'm a bit biased in that I do think you should buy them because I think it's pretty awesome. However, I do see it from the other side in that not everybody likes Valentine's Day, and you don't have to participate if you don't want to. However, most people quite like getting gifts, and it is another day of the year to make explicit your love for another person, especially if you're one of those people who don't get around to doing date nights very often. So there is benefits to Valentine's Day. But anyway, back to economics. So, based on game theory, there is just 3 options for Valentine's Day couples. For couples on Valentine's Day anyway. Option 1, they both buy gifts. Option 2, only the one person buys gifts and the other person does not buy a gift but receives gifts, and then the person who did buy does not receive any gifts. Okay? Option 3, neither of them buy gifts and therefore they have not participated in the Valentine's Day thing. Okay, those are the 3 options. Now, let's say they have gone with option 1. Option 1, they have both purchased gifts. So they are both somewhat satisfied and they both get to open something and they are both like, yay, Valentine's Day, woo! And they are both happy with their partners. However, game theory suggests that they have both spent far too much money and now they are out of pocket or dip deeper into expenses than they would have liked to. So it is not an ideal situation. Option 2, the one person receives a gift, the other person does not because only one person has purchased a gift. Well, this suggests that one person will be like, oh, okay, you bought a gift. And the other person will be like, I am quite unhappy because I did not receive anything and yet I paid X amount. Okay? That is very bad. It is not the ideal situation, especially considering Facebook data has shown that the second half of February is exponentially higher than the first half of February for the amount of breakups. Yeah, so lots more breakups occur in the second half of February. Okay, now option 3, neither of them buy, which means neither of them go deeper into expenses than they would have liked, and neither of them will experience the situation of the one purchasing gift and the other one not purchasing, and then the one just doesn't receive, and that is the worst scenario, really. So neither of them participate in the culture of Valentine's Day. Okay. From an economics perspective, that is the ideal scenario, neither of them purchasing. However, culturally, socially, commercially, we are encouraged to participate. So what can you do if you don't want to spend money? Well, you can always DIY something. You can do a no money spent this year, and instead you guys just spend time with each other as gifts. So these are all ideas for you, and I will be making another video on what you can do for the 5 different love languages as gift ideas for Valentine's Day. But it is something to think about, because you don't always have to do immense gifts for Valentine's Day. And things can be more cost effective. There are many more ways to show love than through a box of chocolates, okay? So yeah. Anyway, I will see you on Tuesday, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please hit that like button and